Ready for something incredible? We're going deep into Autobiography of a Yogi today. It's been captivating people for decades, and we're going to see why it still resonates with spiritual seekers and, well, anyone who loves a good story, really.
It's way more than a memoir. Think of it as a journey into yogic philosophy and the incredible potential we all have inside.
It's that blend of personal experiences with really deep spiritual insights, right? You don't find many books where someone's fighting a tiger one minute and explaining consciousness the next.
That's the beauty of it. Yogananda makes you look at those seemingly impossible events through the lens of ancient wisdom. You start to question what's really possible.
Let's go back to his early life in India. Even as a kid, you can tell he's fascinated by spirituality, not just reading about it, but seeking out saints and yogis. Like he's craving that direct experience.
And his bond with his mother, it's really powerful. She's not just there. She plays a huge role in shaping his spiritual path.
Oh, you mean like when she predicts his future guru? While she's sick, she tells him he'll meet this amazing spiritual teacher later on. Talk about foreshadowing.
And it wasn't just comfort for him, with her being ill. It's like she planted this seed, a beacon to guide him through years of searching until he finds Sri Yukteswar. And that meeting, the guru who initiates him into Kriya Yoga, wow,
Their first encounter, it's pretty wild, isn't it?
totally. The relationship, it's a classic guru-disciple dynamic.
Yeah.
Challenges, tests, and then bam, profound awakening.
But it wasn't all smooth sailing for Yogananda, was it? Remember when he runs away to the Himalayas as a teenager? Talk about an adventure.
It shows you his idealism, right? That burning need to fully embrace his spiritual life, renounce everything, become a wandering yogi.
And then his friend steals all his money. What a reality check.
It's a tough lesson, but his faith doesn't waver. That's a big theme in the book, actually. The universe tests you, sees how committed you really are.
It's amazing how those early experiences, they shape him like stepping stones. But we should talk about some of the other figures he meets, like the Tiger Swami. That guy is straight out of a myth.
He is. And his story, it perfectly illustrates that yogic principle of conquering your inner demons. He's not just fighting tigers, he's overcoming his primal instincts. That's the real victory.
And that's what makes this book so engaging. It's not just mystical powers, it's about the internal stuff we all go through facing our own tigers. But Yogananda doesn't just tell these stories, he uses them to explore these deeper truths.
Exactly. Like that part with Baba, the perfume saint. He's not doing magic tricks. He's showing the power of the mind over matter, something that still baffles modern science.
Okay, I have to admit, materializing sense out of thin air, that's pretty wild.
And Yogananda describes it with such sincerity, such detail. He even talks about smelling roses from his own hand after Baba focuses his energy on it.
Incredible, right? Makes you wonder what else is out there beyond what we can normally see or understand.
And that's what he wants us to do. It's about pushing those boundaries of perception, and not just when it comes to mystical powers. He challenges the separation we've created between science and spirituality.
Like his meeting with J.C. Bose, the famous scientist.
Exactly. Bose's research, showing that plants react to things much like humans do, it really resonated with Yogananda's belief that everything is connected.
It's cool how Bose's scientific work helps bridge that gap between the tangible world and what yogis have known for centuries.
And Yogananda doesn't hesitate to share these events, even if they sound unbelievable. He presents them as real experiences, makes you question what you think is possible, not just in spirituality, but everywhere.
Like he's saying, don't limit your understanding of the universe based on what you can see and touch. There's so much more out there.
It's about being open to the possibility of a larger, more mysterious universe than we usually allow ourselves to believe in. It's like he's saying, don't limit your understanding of the universe to just what you can see and touch. There's so much more to explore.
Exactly. It's about questioning those self-imposed limitations, right?
And speaking of challenging conventional thinking, we can't forget about the stories that really push those boundaries. Like Giri Bala, who Yogananda claims lived without eating for decades. Now, that's a tough one to wrap your head around.
It really is. Giri Bala's story illustrates the yogic concept of prana, the vital life force that's everywhere. We usually think about getting sustenance from food, but yogis believe you can absorb prana directly from the universe, which nourishes you on a deeper level.
So it's not about denying the body needs to be fed. It's more like tapping into a totally different energy source. Exactly. And while Giri Bala might seem extraordinary, it speaks to that yogic belief in our hidden potential, the idea that we're capable of so much more than we realize.
It really makes you wonder what we're missing out on. What if we're only accessing a tiny fraction of our capabilities? There's a thought. And Giribala isn't the only one who challenges our understanding of human potential. Yogananda also encounters Therese Neumann, that German woman who supposedly lived without food or water for years and had the wounds of Christ on her body, the stigmata.
Right, Therese Neumann. These accounts, even if they seem unbelievable to us now, point to this deep connection between the physical and the spiritual. Yogananda approaches these phenomena with such reverence. He understands that faith can show up in really extraordinary ways.
It's interesting, he doesn't try to debunk these stories or judge them. It's like he knows sometimes the deepest truths are beyond logic and reason.
He's encouraging us to stay open-minded, to accept that some mysteries of the universe might always be beyond our grasp.
Which, let's be honest, can be kind of unsettling, especially if you prefer concrete answers. But maybe that's part of what makes Yogananda's work so powerful. He pushes us out of our comfort zones, makes us embrace the unknown. And speaking of the unknown, we can't skip over Yogananda's experiences with his guru, Sri Yukteswar, after Sri Yukteswar's death.
You're right, we have to talk about that. Yogananda's description of meeting his guru again in a resurrected form on the astral plane, it's one of the most moving and thought-provoking parts of the book.
It really shows how strong that guru-disciple connection can be, a bond that even death can't break.
And it goes deeper into that yogic understanding of consciousness as something that extends beyond the physical body. The astral plane, in yogic philosophy, is this realm of subtler energy where your consciousness sticks around after your physical body is gone.
So he's not just describing some mystical experience, he's giving us a peek into a whole other dimension of reality that's connected to our own but often hidden.
Exactly. And this reunion with Sri Yukteswar on the astral plane, it's not just a comforting, hey, good to see you again. It's a chance for more learning, more guidance. Sri Yukteswar gives Yogananda more teachings, emphasizing that death is not the end, but a transition.
It's a good reminder that life doesn't always follow a straight path, doesn't it? We might revisit lessons, get guidance from unexpected places, and keep growing even when we experience loss.
And it highlights something Yogananda teaches throughout the book, that the soul is immortal and that we can always evolve spiritually.
We've talked about gurus, yogis, and mystical events, but what about the practical side? What are some of the core teachings that Yogananda emphasizes in Autobiography of a Yogi?
Well, he doesn't just tell these amazing stories. He's weaving in explanations of yogic philosophy the whole time, making this ancient wisdom accessible to, well, anyone. He talks about karma, reincarnation, the nature of consciousness, providing a way to understand those big life questions we all have.
And he really breaks these concepts down, doesn't he? It's like he knew what we'd be wondering about and gives us the answers within his own life story.
I know, right? And he does it with such clarity, even humor sometimes, making those sometimes complex ideas feel relatable, even useful in everyday life. Like when he talks about karma, he doesn't frame it as punishment or reward, but as cause and effect. It's about understanding that our actions have consequences and that we're all interconnected.
So it's about owning our choices, realizing we have the power to create our own destiny.
Right, and that emphasis on taking responsibility for yourself, that's a big part of Yogananda's teachings. He believed true freedom comes from mastering your inner world, not from things outside yourself.
And one of the main tools he gives us to do that is Kriya Yoga, right? He describes it as a scientific technique for achieving self-realization.
Exactly. Kriya Yoga, as Yogananda teaches it, is a powerful meditation technique that works directly with your body's energy to speed up spiritual growth. It's not about escaping the world, but about tapping into your inner power so you can live a more fulfilling life.
It's amazing how he brought this ancient practice to the West, blending Eastern spirituality and Western thought.
He saw the potential for these two worlds, which seem so different, to come together. He believed science and spirituality could support each other, make each other richer.
It's a message that feels incredibly relevant today, wouldn't you say? The world often feels so divided. Yogananda's vision of unity and interconnectedness, it's like a breath of fresh air.
Absolutely. And it goes beyond connecting cultures or philosophies. Yogananda stressed that truth is universal. He believed there's a common thread that runs through all spiritual traditions, connecting us all to the same source.
And that leads us to Babaji, the seemingly immortal guru who started Yogananda's lineage in Kriya Yoga. He's like this ultimate symbol of spiritual achievement, full of mystery and legends.
Babaji represents the peak of yogic realization. He's someone who's gone beyond the limitations of being human, embodying the potential that we all have inside, that possibility of true liberation.
He's described as this guiding force, showing up at key moments in history to share wisdom and keep Kriya Yoga alive.
And yet he's still this big mystery. He shows us that there are levels of existence that our minds just can't grasp.
His presence in the book reminds us that there's more to life than meets the eye, that forces are at work that we may not understand yet.
It's like he's always there, but only when we're ready to see him. Right.
Exactly. Sometimes those big lessons, they come from the most unexpected places. And that really gets to the heart of Autobiography of a Yogi, don't you think? It makes you question, explore, embrace what you don't know.
It's a journey that goes beyond time and cultures. It's full of this timeless wisdom that's just as powerful today as when he first wrote it.
As we wrap up our deep dive here, I'm curious, what are some key takeaways you hope listeners will get from Yogananda's story?
For me, it's that reminder that spirituality, it's not about strict rules or just blindly believing. It's about really experiencing that divine part within you, connected to something deeper, like what Yogananda describes so vividly.
And that connection, that reality, it's open to everyone, right? It doesn't matter where you come from or what you believe. Yogananda makes it clear that anyone who's truly searching with a sincere heart can find self-realization.
Absolutely. This book, it's not just a fascinating story. It's a call to action. He wants us to go on our own inner journeys, discover how transformative yoga can be, and really tap into that limitless potential we all have.
It's about bridging that gap between the spiritual and the everyday, seeing that we're not just physical beings, but spiritual beings having these human experiences.
I love that.
Eh,
And maybe, just like Yogananda suggests, when we embrace that dual nature, we can create a world where science and spirituality can exist together, where ancient wisdom guides modern progress, and where unity and compassion, they lead the way to a better future.
If Yogananda could see our world today, with everything changing so fast, what would he say? What wisdom would he offer about the challenges and opportunities in front of us?
Those are amazing questions to think about. Autobiography of a Yogi gives us a framework. It helps us understand ourselves within this larger spiritual reality. It's a book you can keep coming back to, and every time you read it, you discover something new.
It's a true testament to the power of personal transformation and how it can ripple out and create positive change in the world. So, as you dive into Autobiography of a Yogi, think about this. What truths will you uncover? What possibilities will spark your imagination? The journey, just like any good spiritual quest, is yours to take.